Hello everyone, I'm CoolGuy, welcome back, and today I want to take a look at the new raid hand cannon Ancient Gospel. If you're a hand cannon user in PvE and in PvP, you want this. It's 140 RPM. These raid weapons have excellent perk pulls. More often than not, you're going to get a great roll. The hand cannon's no different. There are a couple things to know about it when it comes to PvP though, we'll get to that in a moment. I got my Ancient Gospel to drop after the third encounter of the raid. I do have to give a shout out to JWAD, Amateur, OSK, Fallout, Rick Cactus, True Vanguard, and MTashed for a late night PC invite before reset. Some came and left. They wanted to get all the sections done but the final boss so they could get the gear, but they found out I was the only one that hadn't beaten the final boss to get it clear, and they stayed up to help me. We did the whole raid in like 55 minutes or an hour. Don't tell them I was using a controller on PC. Aesthetically, Ancient Gospel is sleek, very wide open crosshairs on it, and in a moment we'll go over some of the stats, but it does have a 100 recoil direction stat, very vertical, and that pairs nicely with the new firing animation. It feels great when shooting it. I don't have a bad thing to say about it. For the base stats, it's an energy 140, and its closest competition is actually in the kinetic category, the Austringer. As far as the stats, the Austringer is still king as far as the base ones at least. This one though is right behind it. There are a couple stats that do go to the Gospel. One's going to be that 100 recoil direction stat, very vertical, feels great, and the other one's going to be the aim assist of 74. Very sticky hand cannon. You could say that they're fairly similar, and it's a really good thing that the Ancient Gospel is energy because that opens up your loadout to use different kinetics. For the perk pool, it has some of the same barrels as the other hand cannons. Barrels like full bore give you the best range, polygonal rifling the best stability, small bore for both. For the magazine, there are 6 options: Accurized for range, steady rounds for stability, drop mag for reload. And I'm going to come back to the barrels and the mag in a second. For our main perks, there are 4 perks that roll in each node, and all of them pair with each other. That pairing is going to depend on what you, the user, want out of it. It can be a PvP or PvE workhorse, or possibly both. In its first perk node, there are 4 rollable options. We have Rapid Hit. Rapid precision hits temporarily increase reload and stability. It's basically Outlaw and Zen Moment combined. We have Slide Shot. Sliding partially reloads the magazine and temporarily boosts range and stability. On a hand cannon, when you need slide, it gives you back 2 rounds. We have Eye of the Storm. The weapon becomes more accurate and boosts handling as your health gets lower. Very good for console users. It reduces bloom when wounded, and it can even help mouse and keyboard. There are only 2 hand cannons that roll this one and the Austringer. And the final perk is Outlaw. Fast reload on precision final blows. That's never a bad option. All of them are great. Now in the second node, we have Kill Clip. Reloading after a kill grants bonus damage. Rangefinder, aiming this weapon increases its effective range and zoom magnification. Dragonfly, precision kills grant an elemental explosion. And then Swashbuckler. There are only 2 hand cannons that can roll this: Spare Rations and now the Ancient Gospel. The Spare is kinetic, this one is energy. You get increased damage from melee kills in kills with this weapon. It goes to a ×5, and a melee kill makes it jump straight to ×5. If you take these 2 nodes and just randomly pair them, a good hand cannon's gonna come out. Bungie did an amazing job with its perk pool. Now the only exception would probably be Eye of the Storm, because it pairs so well with Rangefinder for PvP. But other than that, we have things like Rapid Hit, Slide Shot, or Outlaw with Dragonfly, or Kill Clip, or Swashbuckler. I would say the top 2 PvE roles are going to be Rapid Hit Dragonfly and then Rapid Hit Swashbuckler. For PvP, there are a number of options: Eye of the Storm Rangefinder, Rapid Hit Kill Clip, Rapid Hit Swashbuckler, and there are a couple more. There's really so many good roles. The one that you've been seeing, one that's mine in the background, is a max range Ancient Gospel full bore, range masterwork, accurized round, slide shot, swashbuckler. The max range this hand cannon hits with all these perks is 78 range. That's a lot of range, and I was absolutely stoked when it dropped, but then reality set in. I went over the range nerf that hand cannons and pulses got not too long ago. This one's no different. This hand cannon hits max damage in PvP at a whopping 28 meters, the same as Ace of Spades. As I talked about, Rangefinder is the only perk that can be added that's going to push it out past 30 meters. Or at least up to it. That's going to be the cap now, 28. So I don't use full bore. I go with the other barrel, corkscrew rifling. That one gives a slight increase to range, stability, and handling. That way I get some of that stability and handling back, because all that range at a certain point doesn't do anything. I believe for a well-rounded Ancient Gospel, it's going to have small bore as the barrel. And then the masterwork and magazine are going to go opposite, meaning that if you have a range masterwork, steady rounds is going to be the mag choice. If you have a stability masterwork, accurized is going to be that pairing. That way you get the best of both worlds all around. And for something like PvE, a mag option is really good. That way you can put a minor spec on it or something like that. But back to the range on these hand cannons, it really just doesn't allow the range stat to do what it did. So when you're speccing for a role, you do need a little bit, and I estimate that If you just get a small range bump, you're going to be at 27 meters with this hand cannon in the Crucible. If you get any range added from anywhere, it could be the magazine or the barrel or the masterwork, it should be 27, 27.5, or even hit the cap at 28. That's just where these things sit now. This roll right here lost about 6 meters of range with the range nerf, so that's why damage dealing perks are so important in all aspects of the game, and I'll talk about that later on in the review. For the PvE guys, like I said, you would probably want to put a minor spec on it and have a magazine perk slotted within the magazine column. That gives you more rounds for Swashbuckler, Kill Clip, Dragonfly. And remember, the artifact grants enhanced hand cannon loaders. It could be really good. The roll that I have with Slide Shot Swashbuckler works well in both PvP and PvE. The Swashbuckler testing in the Lost Sector, remember, they did change damage perks for PvE. At ×5, it grants 33% more damage. It's still good with how they change damage numbers, how they change the entire game in that aspect, so it works. With Slide Shot, I can go into an area, slide, get rounds, get that little extra range and stability, and keep going. There's nothing wrong with that. So this one can be used in PvE activities. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I will be looking and am looking for a Rapid Hit Dragonfly version with adding a Dragonfly spec. This one still is special as one of only 2 hand cannons that can have Swashbuckler, so I'm fine with this one. And you can get one of these with either Dragonfly or Swashbuckler for PvE, and remember, we have artifact perks like hand cannon, anti-barrier rounds to make it work even better. Moving on to the Crucible, in PvP it does 70 to the head and 47 to the body, a 0.87 TTK. All 3 headshots need to land for you to achieve that. It has a 1.73 body TTK, that's with 5 body shots landed. In PvP is where it puts in a lot of work as well, and in the background I do have some mouse and keyboard gameplay to start off with. Again, 100 recoil direction, a retuned animation, very little recoil with mouse and keyboard. It shoots like a dream. Now, I've only played like 20-30 total PvP games ever with mouse and keyboard. I'm really bad at it, but this one felt really great. I also do know that 150s are popular for PC gamers with mouse and keyboard, but this one did well for me in engagements when I actually did what I needed to do. I think that mouse and keyboard players will enjoy it, if for anything it being energy to pair with other kinetics. Think of it like Austringer. It's basically kind of like an Austringer, but in that energy category. But for any platform when it comes to the Crucible, if you don't have rangefinder, the damage dealing perks really help fall off in 3-shot distances. Those damage dealing perks are going to be untouched in PvP. Remember, they only changed for PvE. So the base hand cannon is statistically sound, great base, 100 recoil direction, it feels great. Now those perks come into play, and I've been loving my Slide Shot Swashbuckler roll for a couple reasons, and right here is a perfect clip as to why. First off, as you slide, you get that bump to range, and that range isn't significant. It's like a meter, meter and a half. The added stability is nice, especially for console. But the real draw is going to be the 2 rounds that you get back. So after this first opponent, I get down to 4 rounds. I see the next opponent, I knee slide into them, get those 2 rounds back, I get a range and stability buff, I 3-shot them. I knee slide back into cover, getting 2 more rounds. I'm kind of waiting. I see my next opponent, I knee slide into them, get 2 more rounds, then I actually get a melee kill. So I get Swashbuckler ×5. As I'm rounding the corner, I then 2-tap the Hunter, and Swashbuckler ×5 does 93 apiece. So this Hunter is low resilience, and actually, a lot of players are getting familiar with Armor 2.0, and a lot are running really low resilience, so this does happen more than you think. And with Swashbuckler ×5, after you get a kill, it stays at ×5 and keep chaining it until that buff is over. But even after your first engagement at Swashbuckler ×1, it does 75 to the head. It's basically like Rampage, so you can 2 headshot, 1 body shot. Makes the ease of use a little bit better. The point is, with this perk pool, you can get a lot of things done. Mine was rolled with Slide Shot Swashbuckler, but the other combinations have great opportunities as well. And a lot of the gameplay, you've been seeing Frontal Assault paired with Swashbuckler ×5. That gets you a 2-shot on anything. It does 112 damage. It's with these types of perks and setups, whether it be on the character or on the weapon itself, you get some of that range back on a hand cannon. It's kind of what makes the Ancient Gospel special, because half of the perks in that second node are damage dealing perks. With the Ancient Gospel, there's top tier options to pair it with: Revoker, Antiope, Dust Rock, a lot more, and I've talked about earlier, it just opens up the loadout to different things. With the range nerf though, I'm sure that you've noticed, be careful with your engagement distances. Hand cannons simply can't do what they did before Shadowkeep. Pulses and ARs are really good at that 30 meter mark now. They can compete, so use your cover, your map navigation to get into the correct engagement distance, and that's where those damage dealing perks help. Because once you're there, and if someone's a little bit further away, more damage is fighting the fall off, and Swashbuckler and Kill Clip are the ones for Ancient Gospel that are really good. In conclusion, if you're a hand cannon user in PvE and PvP, the Ancient Gospel's up there as one of the best hand cannons in the game at 140 RPMs as a legendary. Nasty PvE and PvP combos happen. Most roles are going to cross over into all sections of the game. You can add on the barrier rounds to help in PvE activities. And at the core, you have a great base statistical hand cannon for PvP right out of the gate. There's lots to love about it. I personally believe it's elite with how all of it ties together. Again, it can drop from any of the raid encounters, and I've heard reports of it coming from the secret chests within the raid. If you're new to the channel, remember to hit the subscribe button. If you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Mouse and keyboard users, how do you feel about a 140 like this? If you don't have it, then how does your Austringer feel? What do you think about it? And to everyone, if you have the Ancient Gospel, tell me about your role in the comment section. And if you don't have it, what do you think? Is it something that you want in your loadout? Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.